It was just 2 to 3 weeks ago when it was rumored that Michigan football and Jim Harbaugh were working on a 5 year, $55 million contract extension, which would have earned Jim Harbaugh $11 million per year under that rumored extension, making him one of the highest paid head coaches in college football. Now, just yesterday, reports surfaced that Michigan football and Jim Harbaugh are now working on a 10-year, $125 million extension, which would make Jim Harbaugh the highest paid head coach in college football history up to today's date. And this contract would also include a 1 year no NFL clause, which would guarantee that Jim Harbaugh would be at Michigan in the college ranks through 2025 because he wouldn't be able to pursue an NFL job during or just after the 2024 regular season. When groundbreaking contracts like this come up, there's either a ton of upside or a lot of downside or both. So, could this be a pivotal moment in Michigan football history? Absolutely. And we know for a fact that Jim Harbaugh and Ward Manuel and Michigan Athletics are working on a deal. The question is, what does the deal look like, and when and if it will be announced? Welcome back, fellow football fanatics. It's your host, College Football with Sam. And before we dive deep and talk about this, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so that you can get notified when I release more content about college football games, about college football teams, whether on the field and just zoning in on their roster and coaching staff and performance, or in critical off the field moments like this one. This is a big deal right here. 10 years, $125 million, and Michigan essentially saying that we really want you and need you to be here in 2024 and 2025. And I got to say, from my perspective, Harbaugh not winning a college football playoff semifinal yet, not even winning a New Year's Six Bowl at Michigan, not even winning a postseason game since 2015, and he's being offered this type of money, shows that Ward Manuel and Michigan Athletics, if this is true, are content with where Michigan football is right now, and they would rather have this for 10 years, even if it means the ceiling isn't any higher. Which, call me overly zealous, call me overly passionate, call me delusional. I am not content with where Michigan football is right now. I want Michigan to be truly competing for national championships. Now, I do believe that their matchups right now with Alabama and with Washington or Texas, if they do beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl, are favorable, and I do think Michigan has a unique opportunity to win their first national championship since 1997, but that doesn't mean they will. And Michigan hasn't won a national championship, a New Year's Six Bowl game, or a college football playoff semifinal under Jim Harbaugh. So this massive extension, and I think the rumored 1 year no NFL clause also speaks to the volumes that really Santa Ono and Ward Manuel and Michigan Athletics and Jim Harbaugh want to cling onto each other, or at least Michigan Athletics wants to cling onto Jim Harbaugh. I have no clue what Jim Harbaugh wants out of Michigan at this point. 5 years, 11 million per year. Again, 2 to 3 weeks ago is when those rumors surfaced. That sounded pretty good. You give him a few million more in salary. You probably, as Michigan Athletics, also boost his assistant salary pool, boost NIL efforts, which Michigan's continuing to work on that. What more could you want? And now with a 10-year deal, 125 million, again, based off reports, we don't know if this is going to be signed, if it's a done deal, or even if it's true. This could just be speculation or an educated guess or something that Michigan just threw out to Jim Harbaugh, and they're still working on finalizing the details. who knows at this point? With Michigan, whether it's the sign stealing scandal with Connor Stallions, the recruiting violations during the COVID period, honestly, as a Michigan fan and student, I don't exactly know what's going on, but I'm here to tell you what I know, what I read, what I see, and give some of my basic thoughts on it. And I guess what you could call my thesis statement or basic thoughts on this contract extension is if Michigan wins it all this season, I immediately am slamming the yes button on the table. Um, Under any other circumstances, really, it would then just be a wait and see thing. And I live in the real world. I am not going to control whether Jim Harbaugh signs this or not, but I really want Michigan to compete for national championships. And if Michigan doesn't win a national title this season, with how they're recruiting and the whole NIL landscape, I don't know if Michigan would have another opportunity to win it all quite like this one. And it's so critical to get that momentum and to take advantage of an opportunity when it presents itself. But Jim Harbaugh is one of the best head coaches in college football right now. He deserves to be paid higher than he is right now, which I think is in the ballpark of around $7.25 million per season. That's just off the top of my head, though. Maybe it's 7.5, but I know it's somewhere around there. I'm going to read an article briefly by CBS Sports talking about this $125 million contract over 10 years with a no NFL clause. This article is written by Shahan Jaraja. I hope I pronounced his name properly. If I didn't, my apologies. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh is weighing a massive contract offer to stay in Ann Arbor, Michigan that contains a huge catch. The university is presenting Harbaugh a contract extension that would make him the highest paid coach in college football, but would preclude him, nice vocabulary, from pursuing an NFL job for the 2024 season, according to NFL Network. While the clause limiting NFL interest only lasts one season, it's apparently been enough to prevent the two sides from reaching an agreement. The Wolverines' contract proposal is for 10 years under $25 million, which would eclipse Dabo Swinney's $115 million contract for the biggest in college football history. Alabama coach Nick Saban cleared $100.4 million to become the highest paid coach in college football in 2023. Michigan reportedly is also offered a shorter-term $11 million contract. Harbaugh has transformed Michigan into a national power throughout a 9-year tenure at his alma mater. The Wolverines went 8 years without a top 10 finish before he took over as coach, and Michigan is set to record its fourth top 10 finish after entering the college football playoff as its number one overall seed. Harbaugh is the first Michigan coach to win 3 consecutive Big Ten championships since Gary Moeller from 1990 to 1992. Harbaugh has pursued NFL coaching jobs consistently since he took over the Wolverines, and noise has reached fever pitch during U of M's rise to national prominence. For example, after the 2021 season, Harbaugh heavily pursued a position with the Minnesota Vikings, who eventually settled on Kevin O'Connell. There's more in this article. You can read it, linking down below. It's mostly talking about Harbaugh having a difficult year off the field, the recruiting violations, another investigation into the sign stealing, Harbaugh meeting with the Denver Broncos after the 2024 season, and also talking about Michigan losing key players after 2023. Michigan is going to have a big change from 23 to 24, even if Harbaugh and most of the staff stay with Michigan, which may not be likely right now, or maybe it is likely. Who knows? I don't know the inner workings and the mind of Jim Harbaugh, Sharon Moore, Jesse Minner, Steve Clinkscale, Mike Hart, Ron Bellamy, Mike Elston, and any other coaches, or Ben Herbert. I don't know. But Michigan's roster is going to change. I mean, Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, Blake Corum, Zach Zinner, Drake Nugent, Trevor Keegan. These are offensive players who I can name off the top of my head who are great, and they're going to be gone next season. And defensively, Jalen Harrell, Chris Jenkins, Braden McGregor, they'll be gone. Mikey Sainris still will be gone. Junior Colson will likely be gone. Michael Barrett is certainly gone. there's going to be a whole lot of change, and Michigan wants some stability. And Jim Harbaugh right now, despite the fact that he is known as a master of chaos, is stability. Michigan's won the Big Ten 3 years in a row, and even after they got caught cheating, let's be real, Michigan cheated. After they got caught cheating, Michigan still went on to beat Penn State, beat Ohio State, and win the Big Ten, which somewhat gave them validation in the fact that, look, they didn't need to cheat to have the success that they did, but the fact that they cheated is unacceptable in and of itself. Regardless of all of that, Harbaugh's won the Big Ten for 3 years in a row, and next season, even with all of these losses, Michigan will still have depth. If Harbaugh is there and the assistant pool is boosted and much of the coaching staff stays, maybe Michigan can rebound and do much better than what I expect a lot of people will predict for the Wolverines to achieve in 2024. Per reports, Michigan has offered Harbaugh a $125 million contract over 10 years. This would earn Harbaugh $12.5 million yearly or annually, which would make Harbaugh college football's highest paid head coach, even ahead of Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. However, that 1 year no NFL clause would ensure that Harbaugh stays through 2024 or 2025. And reportedly, this article by CBS, which will be linked down below in the video description, apparently that is the section that has been holding up this extension, which calls into question, does Jim Harbaugh want to stay here long term, like he has said multiple times? Where is his mind? Is his mind in multiple places? Is his mind with Michigan? I guess that's the part that bugs me as a Michigan fan. If Harbaugh is going to be offered this $10 million deal, be college football's highest paid head coach, I want to know that he's fully invested in the University of Michigan and that he's not going to leave them, that he's not just going to leave them when the NFL comes calling for him. And who knows how much NFL interest is being garnered with Jim Harbaugh, but the more he wins at the college level and the more that he continues to adapt and evolve at Michigan. For example, the Wolverines this year finally have a passing offense. That's an example of Jim Harbaugh evolving and developing his team. The more NFL owners are going to pay attention to him, honestly. And I want Harbaugh to either be locked down at Michigan, or if you want to go back to the NFL, go back to the NFL. And Michigan can promote Sharon Moore or do an outside search and hire an elite head coach. But those are just my opinions. I think that Harbaugh deserves to be paid definitely in the 8-figure range, $10 million or more. I totally believe that. Right now, Harbaugh is a top 4 head coach. The only head coaches that I would say are definitely better than Jim Harbaugh are Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, as of this exact moment. If you include all-time records, or if you aren't as recency biased toward head coaches as I am, then of course you're going to have Dabo Swinney ahead of Jim Harbaugh, and you might have some other coaches ahead of Jim Harbaugh. But I think that Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are the only 2 head coaches right now who are definitively ahead of Jim Harbaugh, and those would be the only coaches who would be definitively ahead of Jim Harbaugh under any circumstance, unless you weigh college football 10 or 5 years ago the same as now, if Harbaugh wins a national title, which the Wolverines right now are the favorites to win the national championship per odds, per ESPN's power rankings, also known as FPI, etc. So, will this turn out to be true? I don't know. This could be speculation. And will Harbaugh even sign this contract? Apparently, Michigan and Harbaugh are butting heads here. Harbaugh, he has an interest in the NFL, but it looks like he's going to have to make a choice. And it looks like if he wants to go to the NFL, he's going to have to make a decision. He can't keep looking. He can't keep looking at both the NFL and Michigan. I think he's going to have to choose one over the other. And as to which he will choose, I am uncertain about that because to a certain degree, do you want to have to deal with the NCAA breathing down your neck? But also at Michigan, you've built something consistent. The program right now is continuing to peak. Michigan will be a regular participant in the college football playoff when it expands to 12 teams. They already were a regular participant for 3 years in a row when it was at 4 teams. The Big Ten runs through Ann Arbor. So I think for Jim Harbaugh, personally, there is more upside, but also more downside for staying at Michigan. And at the same time, there's also more stability. There's just a lot wider range of outcomes at Michigan for Jim Harbaugh. Going back to the NFL, the league has changed, operations have changed, schematics have changed, and outside of some strange owners who don't have the best understanding of the differences between the NFL and college game, I don't know who would want Jim Harbaugh more than Michigan. And Michigan being willing to make Jim Harbaugh college football's highest paid head coach means that I don't exactly know. I mean, they're going to do anything in their power to keep him, even if it means trying to match up with big NFL franchises. But that's all I have to say in this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to give a shout out to my patrons, Crash2488, for being my Heisman patron of the month of December. Thanks to Spencer Bringhurst for being my All-American patron of the month of December. Thanks to Will Loftus, Gabriel Calendar, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Chris Lane, Austin Christmas, and Zubin Zah for being all-conference patron members of the month of December. Have a phenomenal day, guys. Merry Christmas, and I will see you all around. Bye-bye.